Buying this 911 has been a dream come true. For years, I've been hunting for a Porsche, lusting after a Porsche. And not any Porsche, not a Cayman, not a Boxster, definitely not a diesel Panamera. My first sports car had to be a Porsche, and the first Porsche had to be a 911. Car's nice and clean. I didn't always want a Porsche. Growing up, I lusted after rally cars, Mitsubishi Evos in particular, and that led to a decade in rallying. In fact, when we started Evo India magazine, the first thing that I got the publisher to do was buy an Evo 10. And with that out of my system, the Porsche itch became uncontrollable. I have a history with Porsche. After 12 years at Overdrive, I quit the best job in the world to go and join Porsche India as the head of press and marketing. Very soon though, I discovered that wearing a suit and tie to work every day and road testing a desk wasn't my jam. Within 8 months, I had quit, and by the end of the year, I was at the BIC on the main street putting together the cover picture for the launch issue of Evo India magazine. Post-COVID is when I met the Speedfest boys. And that's how I got in touch with Sahil Contractor. I didn't court my wife as much as I courted Sahil, specifically his red 997.2. For well over a year, we did the dance. Twice the deal was almost done, and then he backed out after taking the car for one last drive. Finally, when he agreed, I dropped everything, ran to Bombay to pick up the car before Sahil changed his mind again. 31st of May 2024, that's when I bought my first car. Yep, that's right, not my first Porsche, but my very first car. I have the best job in the world. My job entails testing cars and bikes, and at no point in time are there less than 4 or 5 cars parked in my garage. Apart from my rally cars, I never really needed to buy my own car. But I wanted my own car. My own car, it had to be special. And special cars cost serious money. Every time I had saved up enough, prices of 911s took one step up. Every time I was ready, prices went up and it became unattainable. And I can't tell you how frustrating, how depressing that can be. Sabar ka phal meetha hota hai. The wait though was worth it. 2nd of June 2024, my wife and I, we drove down to Pune in our Porsche. Went straight to the temple. My mom and dad came there. We went and did a puja. Now, I'm not a very religious person, but I believe cars, bikes, they have a soul. You give them love and they return the love 10 times over. And then I drove dad home in the Porsche. 40 years ago, my dad had picked up the 911, a 964 from Saudi Arabia, and drove it down to Bahrain for his boss's son. Now, I was driving dad home in his son's 911. The driving experience is incredible. The car feels alive. The steering squirming, wriggling in your hands. No matter how good modern e-pass systems are, good old hydraulic power steering is another deal altogether. All of us talk about steering feel, but unless you experience a hydraulically assisted 911, you will never know what good steering feel is all about. As for power, a modern turbocharged engine with a slug of torque will be faster. An electric car will probably smoke this little thing. But a sweet revving, naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine, a Porsche flat 6 singing through custom open pipes. Oh boy, that's another deal altogether. A 911, it drives different to every other sports car. Obviously, rear engine. But with every newer generation, Porsche have calmed down that rear engine traits, made it more palatable to a wider audience set. But with the 997, this is still an old school 911. Not one of those 911s that will spin and throw you into a ditch. But with the 997, you still have to bring your A game. If you're not on top of things, this car can bite. Bring your A game and this is bliss. I recently drove the 992.2 GTS in Spain, and the tech, the hybrid performance, it's all just incredible. But it's also so much wider than my car. And have you seen prices of new 911s? The new 992.2, it starts at 2 crore rupees, and then you add in options. My 911, it costs as much as a new Audi Q5. So I haven't done something totally bonkers or massively stupid. My car has almost all the options that you could throw at the 911 back then. So it's got Sport Chrome with the stopwatch out here. It's got PASM, the Sport Plus button out here that stiffens the dampers. Obviously PDK, first generation to come with PDK. Extended leather. It's got a sunroof. It's a metal sunroof, not a glass sunroof, but it's got a sunroof. It also has this fantastic sport design steering wheel. So back then, Porsche were experimenting with these toggle switches to shift the gears, which were these little buttons on top of the spokes, and didn't really work well, was not intuitive. I didn't like it at all. This was the best option they could have spec'd. It's got nice paddle shifters, metal paddle shifters behind, and it's got the analog tacho. The new 911 has got the digital tacho, the analog tacho. That is never going to get old. And thanks to Sahal's obsessive-compulsive Porsche disorder, it is loaded. FVD headers, crosspipe and sport cats. Track spec rotors, pads and lines. The third central radiator, which is important for tracking it. Solid engine mounts, H&R springs, BMC air filter, E-tuners, stage 2 ECU tune. When new, the 3.8-litre flat 6 put out 380 bhp, did 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds. But with all the masala parts on my car, I'm sure it is faster. The new 911, it does 0 to 100 in 3.9 seconds, and I don't think my 14-year-old car is going to get smoked by a new 911. And when new, it could do a top speed of over 300 kilometers per hour, 303 to be precise. But I must be honest with you, this is a 14-year-old car and automotive technology has moved on so much. This doesn't really pin you in the seat like modern turbocharged engines. If you're thinking with your head, a BMW M340i is probably a better idea. The BMW M2, man, that car is solidly fast. But that's no Porsche. The driving position, the sensations, the noise. You fire it out of a corner and the grip on the rear axle, the front, it goes ever so slightly light. If you corner it hard, the inside front wheel also lifts. Nothing drives like this. So what are my plans for the car? First things first, a music system upgrade. Now, the 997.2 is not officially a Porsche Sport Classic, but there are aftermarket upgrades for the music system, and that gives it CarPlay capability. Sahil has been urging me to take the car to a track day, but others have said don't do it, so I'm not sure. But I had this crazy idea floating around in my head to do a safari rally conversion. Longer travel suspension, little softer, better suited to our roads. More ground clearance, again better suited to our roads. Dinner plate sized fog lamps on it. A rack on the roof with a spare tire. Gravel rally tires. Make it look wild and combine my two loves, rallying and 911s. I am a world champion at dreaming. But you know what they say? Be careful of what you dream for. Those dreams might come true. I'm Sirish Chandran, and this Porsche 997 Carrera S is what drives me.